Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. My name is Bonnie McMahon. I'm Vice President of Sales here at Evosis. Today's webcast is we're going to be showing and discussing with you the Oracle Recruiting Cloud. And as a housekeeping item, I want to remind everyone you are on mute on purpose. There's a lot of folks on the line today, and we're trying to eliminate the background noise. But if you have questions throughout the broadcast, please don't hesitate to ask them by using your question icon on the toolbar. We'll take those as they come in. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Next slide, Sarah. So today we'll be talking, like I mentioned, HCM, Oracle HCM Suite, and giving you a demonstration of Oracle Recruiting Cloud, as well as talking about how to adopt and implement the Oracle Recruiting Cloud. And I'm going to get started here by telling you a little bit about Evosis. I know some of the folks on the line are familiar with us already. We may have worked with you on your Taleo implementation. But for those of you who are new and do not know who Evosis is, we are a Oracle Cloud partner. We only work on Oracle, and we are very proud to say we have over 1,200 cloud customers across the globe. As you can see here, we do have a global presence, and we have locations across 30 countries and around the world. And we employ about 1,200 consultants. Most of them are certified in the Oracle Cloud software, as well as some have history on legacy systems such as EBS and or PeopleSoft. The nice thing about our consultants is most of them have line of business experience, meaning they've actually sat in your seat, or they hold advanced degrees. They are also, we're proud to say that these are all full-time employees. We don't use a ton of contractors. So it's also something very important when you're looking at implementation partners to consider. We have been in business for over 12 years, and we have implemented software across all Oracle's 7 pillars. And 7 pillars seems like, what is that? So pillars at Oracle are things like ERP, finance, supply chain, HCM, EPM, which is also Hyperion, as well as BI and customer experience with the CX platform. I think for today's purpose, what's important for you to know is that we recently won in October the Global Partner of the Year for the Oracle HCM Cloud. We're super proud of that. And you can see on the bottom here, we've won multiple awards throughout the world. I think it speaks volumes about our experience as well as our customer success, which goes hand in hand with those numbers of cloud customers. Next slide, Sarah. I think I'm going to pass it over to Sarah Bragg, who's your presenter today. I'm sorry. Sarah actually has worked with us for many years now, has been a consultant for over 11 years on the Oracle Talent Acquisition platforms, both in Taleo and the Oracle HCM Suite. She actually does, like I mentioned earlier, come from the line of business. She's been in HR for about 16 years. She actually implemented an Oracle solution many years ago. So she was a client. She sat in your seat. She actually knows what you guys go through when you're implementing or looking at new technology. So she's a very valuable resource for us. She also sits and is president of her local human resources board, as well as sits on the board for OHUG. The OHUG is the Oracle Human Resource User Group. Many of you may be familiar with them, and they hold an annual conference every June, and I'm sure Sarah's going to talk about it because she loves to talk about OHUG. So with that, I'm going to remind everyone, if you have questions, use the question icon on your toolbar. We'll take those as they come in, and I'm going to pass it over to Sarah.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Bonnie. And welcome everybody to today's webcast on the Oracle HCM as well as the ORC module that we're going to talk about today. So I'm just going to go back one slide here, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And you guys might not be aware of all the different modules that are available with the whole Oracle HCM suite. So today, like I mentioned, we're going to focus on your core HCM or core, like the human resources module. And why is that important? That's important because some of you already have this today. And what you don't know is you do have access to checklists. which that is what is leveraged for the onboarding process for your new hires. As well as we're going to talk about the recruiting module here. But as you can see, just for your own knowledge, if you weren't aware of this, or maybe you're new to the HCM space, is that all these different modules come when you purchase the main hub here. So this is just something that you can take a look at. And you might currently today have maybe talent management, so you might have the profile, you might have career development, so forth. But this is a piece that you might be exploring. So it's good that you guys are on the call today. So it just gives you kind of a leverage to see what's out there in the HCM space. So why now, right? A lot of you have heard the buzz about Oracle Recruiting Cloud, or you'll hear me say the acronym ORC. So the biggest thing is you today as HR professionals might be thinking, hey, right now we have an inability to attract and maybe hire talent. Maybe currently we have inefficient hiring processes for candidates and for maybe our internal employees. We have too many systems in place, right, to manage our processes. New hires, they take too long to become productive, and we don't really have that hiring visibility or insight. Well, we're here to tell you today that Oracle Recruiting Cloud is going to solve those kind of hurdles that some of you might be asking yourselves those questions. So, for example, we're going to talk about a little bit later, is that with Oracle Recruiting Cloud, you'll find the right candidates faster with the sourcing piece as well as the AI, or the artificial intelligence that's built right into this software, while also providing the applicants with a more personalized experience than what you're used to. It's also going to save and reduce the paperwork of your HR teams and recruiters by automates and simplifying the processes and actually accelerating the hiring for your candidates. It's also going to provide you with a single unified talent solution and giving you the freedom from the integration and the constant different user interfaces. Also key that we always hear the buzzwords about is standardizing, right? Standardizing and automating onboarding. You can do that by role or by department. Now, this is something that, all my HR individuals that I talk to struggle with, so that their employees are going to be, effective right from day one. Also measuring this impact of the system, or how can we get different analytics on different things. With this, you have analytics that will be able to pull from all the different modules into one report if that's something that you're interested in. So now is the time to take a look at this. I urge all of you, after this, and we'll get into talking about next steps once we go through the demo here. But just to give you some ideas of some questions that you might be asking yourself, and really now why is the time that we want to take a look at this. So one of the key things that you'll notice here is the foundation of this platform was built right from the ground floor up, right? So talent today, right, is shifting to the candidate-centric kind of mode, right? So we need to think of our candidates just like consumers today out in the retail market. It's all about them. There's a shortage for talent. So how are we going to attract them? So with seeing a candidate experience that I'm going to show today, you're going to see how easy it is for a candidate to apply. And let me tell you right now, you don't even need to, hit a password or create a password like you're maybe used to in other softwares. That's taken away with this, as well as some other cool features for your candidates. So there's different things that's going to engage your candidates, because you can add videos in here, images, and so forth, to get your candidates excited about your company, about the whole kind of recruitment process, because it's more interactive with them. And let me just, okay, so this is just a slide that I like to talk about, right? So 83% of HR leaders today say attracting and hiring talent is their number one priority, right? Which is fair to say, because we hear that from everybody that we talk to, right? And then 68% of the HR leaders have difficulty recruiting skilled candidates, and 14% of new employees leave within their first 12 months, right? So these are astonishing numbers. And why is it important to show this? It's important to show this because as we go through the demo, this is going to give you some insight on how this software is going to help you, decrease, and meet these targets. So hiring is the number one priority. How can we get to those candidates quicker, faster, and meet the needs that our recruiters or that our business needs? And how can we be proactive and nurture those candidates that have joined our talent pool or talent community, you might call them? The software is going to allow you to do this, right? Also, the candidates are going to have an opportunity to put in their different skill sets. so that through artificial intelligence, those jobs are matched with those candidates in the system to give your recruiters those lists of people that they might want to contact before even posting that job out there. And also too, that onboarding experience, how do you make an employee feel most comfortable and stay and put that investment in them that they know that they're valued right from, day one of looking at your site to make that decision to apply or at least to join your organization. And for that matter too, to make sure that they're referring your company out through the experience that they actually went through. So why Oracle Recruiting Cloud? These are the top 3 things. And the next slides following this, we're going to get into them just a little bit greater detail. So the key things to take away is the intelligent piece, the engaging piece, and the full complete software. So when we get into the intelligent piece, what we want to make sure that you understand is that this whole software was developed with intelligence first as a solution, right? So for example, by leveraging that AI and machine learning, like I mentioned earlier, organizations can easily identify that best fit candidate across the passive and those active talent pools that you set up in your system. Why is that important? Well, it's going to reduce the time or the need to manually browse through those resumes and data like we might be used to in our systems that we currently maybe use today. Also, something very cool, right, is chatbots. We're all used to them. When we go to a website, we might make a purchase, they pop up, we can type in our question and someone answers them, right? So that's something else that is part of this solution as well, is you can have chatbots to help alleviate that time that maybe HR is spent by taking phone calls from candidates or even internally, because you can program those chatbots with the questions that are most recently asked or that you're used to. Plus, you can add to those as well, right? It's just not a one-stop shop. It's going to be able to grow with the different questions. Also, something that I find is really key is that solution allows you to generate detailed hiring reports. So you can do it right across that whole software, right? Because it's one solution, no integrations. So where are your top candidates coming from? How strong is that talent pipeline that you have? How much is it costing me to hire new people? Helping to optimize, right, that recruitment process for the long run and make you successful. Now, from an engaging standpoint, right? So this is supposed to be a more modern, highly engaging recruitment solution, which you're going to see when we get into the demo. So this provides organizations with different capabilities that they need to attractively convey, what your culture is, your work environment, and also that application process to not only the external, right? Sometimes they forget about that internal process, right? There is an internal process that we can set up in the system to be personalized and very special experience for those internal individuals that are applying to jobs. The solution features, a different variety of personalization, branding tools. This helps your HR teams, right, and recruiters take control of those designs and also just the messaging and tone and multimedia content that they can put on there. And, you can do this yourself, without any help from IT. That's how easy the system is to do for you in HR to set up those different brandings and those different templates. Also, too, with the intuitive and modern interface, this is going to give you, like I mentioned earlier, like that consumer-like experience. So it's going to be a familiar experience. You'll see with the different faceted searches that happen, just kind of like your experience with Amazon. And also, too, this is just like an easy interface. And if you already have the HCM platform, the adaptation of this new module, especially for if you already have self-serve and all that, it looks very similar, the look and feel. So there's not that much change. So when you come to say to your, employees, your organization, we're going to be rolling out this different module, that uptake time, that change management time is really easy and, a nice experience for your end users because they're familiar with that platform, the look and feel of it. So complete, right? I mentioned that word and you saw that on the slide earlier as well. So it's a one unified solution, right? There's targeted HCM campaigns. There's a full source to hire in the recruiting system as well, so you can source different things. So it just opens up your mind to maybe you're used to a different platform that might have, little bits and pieces of this. This is that one complete solution for you to solve all of your problems here moving forward. And the one key thing is those integrations, because I know so many people that I talk to, the integrations sometimes really are the challenges, or how do I get that full global view from a reporting perspective to make those analytical decisions or strategic decisions when I'm sitting with the executive group and they're telling me, hey, this is what's coming, in the next 6 to 12 months, or even the next, year, 2 years. To develop the strategic plan, you're going to have that information to run those reports to help guide your executive team with that. Now, we also just like to point out here this Gartner report here for the Magic Quadrant. So Oracle is named as a leader based upon the ability to execute and the completeness of the vision. Okay, so once again, there's just all these different things that we want to make sure that you're aware of, and you might have some of these all today. So what we're going to focus on in the demo is literally just the Oracle Recruiting Cloud, but it's just, again, just as a reiteration, you'll keep hearing me say this over and over throughout the demo. It is intelligent, it's complete, and it's going to be a unified solution for you, and it's going to actually complement your other modules that you might currently have today. Now, the different phases for adaptation or going Oracle Recruiting Cloud. So obviously the most recommended solution of adaptation of this is going full transition to ORC. So that's your single recruiting system. It's your single source of record. And as you can see here, go live as of release 18B. We're actually now on to 19D. So people have been live now for, a little over a year, and you'll just see from the demo that I'm going to do, if you've seen one before, the amount of investment and the amount of great features and functionalities that you're going to see. This is the way that you would or best recommend it to go. Now, phased adoption, some people ask what that is. So you might have different countries that you want to utilize the Oracle recruiting software for. So you can actually roll those out. Let's just say we're going to roll it out for the United States first, and then we might want to roll it out to the UK. Or maybe you just have a department that you want to roll it out in first as kind of a pilot before you roll it out to your whole organization. So that is something that is supported as well, that we've seen clients do in the past. And then last but not least, the not supported, right? And this kind of makes sense even from just looking at the wording here or looking at these bullet points, right? You don't want to use it with another ATS for a joint process, right? That's not going to make sense, right? Two separate. How are you going to get your reports? How is that going to be accurate? So also the big thing is just the CRM is specific for the ORC process. So the first two is what we would recommend. However, if I had my choice, then I would highly suggest you go with the option number one. But if you want to just do a phased approach, because this is going to be new, maybe you don't have any other modules from the Oracle HCM suite, and this is going to be your first one, then absolutely that's something that you can do and roll it out slowly to the other departments or the other countries. So before we just jump into our demo, I just want to touch upon this just because I want to make sure that we have enough time here. So after we do the demo, some people might want to say, okay, what about now? What are the next steps? So by all means, you can contact us and we'd love to talk to you about your current situation, strategize with you, what makes the most sense with you. You can schedule also with us a deeper dive demo we'd love to get into if after today, because of the high level demo, you want to get into taking a look more at the offer letter process or the interviewing process or so forth. We will walk you through those different things just to talk you through, this is what your process might be today. This is how Oracle Recruiting Cloud is going to help and enhance that process and make it easier for you. So without further ado, I'm just going to take this down and stop sharing, and I'm going to log into a demo site, and we're going to start our demo.
Thank you, Sarah. As a reminder, everybody is on mute, so if you do have a question during the demo, please use the question icon on your toolbar, and we'll take those questions as they come in. And I think while we're waiting for Sarah to share her screen again, I'd love to see a show of hands from those of you in the audience. How many of you today are running an Oracle applicant tracking system? You can just raise your hand. There's a little hand icon on your toolbar. Curious. Oh, there's a few. Oh, good, good. Looks like some people, I'd say about half of our attendees today are running an Oracle platform for recruiting. Oh, there's another one. They're still coming in quick. Oh boy, there's a lot on the phone. So as Sarah's getting logged in here, we have significant experience. You'll see the icon up in the corner there. For those of you who weren't aware, Evosys purchased Newberry Taleo Group at the beginning of last year. And Newberry was a go-to partner for implementing Taleo. And we had about 650 implementations of the Taleo product, both Taleo Enterprise as well as Taleo Business Edition. And we're experts at going ahead and migrating you over from Taleo over to the new Oracle Recruiting Cloud. And we had a question come in, and it says, does Evosys consult in the fluid space? We sure do, and we're happy to help you out. If you need some assistance in that area, please feel free to reach out. We're happy to help. So it looks like, Sarah, you're all set. I'm going to pass it over to you.
Yes, thank you. Just let me know, because I'm going to be switching back from monitor to monitor. So if you can't see something, I might be talking and then I'll stop it and I'll redo it again. Okay, perfect. So this is the landing page that if you are running Oracle HCM or if you've seen a demo before, this probably looks very familiar to you. Or some of you might be used to looking at the springboard that might have the different circle icons with the different colors. So it just depends what kind of user interface, if you've turned on the mobile new user interface that came out in a release, then this is going to look very familiar to you. So first things first, I've logged in here as an HR specialist. So as a recruiter, there's 3 different seated roles that come with the system. But obviously, what you can do is you can clone those roles and you can do different security options or profiles for them. So to kick this off, what we'll do is we'll just go into the hiring. So if we click on the hiring icon here, we'll give it a second. It just drills down to this job requisitions. So once again, for those of you who are familiar, you know that when you go into different screens, you always have this navigation bar on your left-hand side of the screen, right? And you'll start to see the familiarity, as well as when you see these little 3 dots anywhere and you hover over it, you're going to say actions, but I can click on it and it's going to give me different actions here. So that's a kind of a familiarity throughout the system with the different modules. So what I'll do here is just briefly outline what these are here, and then we'll go in to add a requisition just to show you the different blocks of information that you can do when you're creating that requisition. So you do have a candidate search functionality here. I can click on candidate search. I can search the candidate database. We'll just give it a second here to move to that screen. I can also do different filters in here. I can also email, do different actions. So right now on the screen, it just doesn't show the filters, right? So very easily, we just click on show filters and we see all of the different options here that we can filter or search candidates on. So if I did a search or if I just looked at these applicants here, I can click multi, I can drop this little action column down here and I can do these different actions, right? So I can mass send an email, I can add an interaction. So maybe I phoned them and I wanted to just put my notes in there. I've got candidate pools or talent pools there. I want to add these individuals to, and I can add them to a requisition there. So really easy to do here from a search functionality and see all these different filters that you have capabilities of. Now, something that's really cool that some of you might not be used to and always wanted this in an applicant tracking system is this CRM or campaigns option. So for example, here we have this HR Service Center expansion, right? So if I want to click on this just to see what this campaign's about, it gives you, all these different options here to look at. So just an overview, right? Then I can get into true details of this. So what was the campaign name when I set it up? What's the description? What's the purpose of this campaign? What's our goal? And then the goal labels referrals, right? So this says these are the different associated job requisitions. Here's the owners of this campaign. Anywhere in the system, just as a reminder, when you see these little arrows, you can just expand or collapse it, right? Now, if I click on this email, this is going to give me some analytics, right? So it's going to tell me how many were sent, how many of those emails were opened, even the click-through, the bounces, and people that have unsubscribed. And then last but not least, if we click on this audience, this is going to show us some other kind of analytics, but just in a different kind of format here. So it gives us our different audience breakdown. So from the different locations, because this is the metrics here shown. If I drop this little arrow down, we also have other options here that we can display that audience breakdown for. So that's just a little sneak peek into that CRM functionality. And I think this is, something that people need to think about, because how are we going to be proactive, or how even do we nurture people, just like you would from a sales and marketing standpoint, right? This is the way the market's going. We want you to utilize this and be effective with those campaigns. So again, you don't have to start out large with this and, maybe have 5 campaigns, in the first month that you go live. This is something that should be connected to your recruitment marketing strategy with your team on how this is going to be beneficial and work most effectively for your organization. Now, the candidate pools that some of you might not use today, a lot of people don't tend to use this, or they've set it up and maybe they don't continue to use it, or they maybe don't find value in it. This is something that should be, fluid and dynamic, right? You can change individuals in and out of pools, right? And why not think about, I tend to see people, let's make a pool for marketing. Let's make a pool for, HR. Why not do a pool on, we went to a career fair. Who are those individuals that we want to remember? We can put them in that pool, or set up a pool specifically for that career fair. And then you don't have to go back through your system or take a look through emails or, people that have just joined your talent community. You can actually set up that pool. Another thing to think about, what do we do with those candidates that are quote unquote, maybe are silver medalists? Maybe they were the runner-ups. Well, we want to put them in a place so it's quick and easy for us to find. We don't have to go back through those past requisitions and say, who was that silver medalist? Set up a candidate pool to put those people in. So then you can touch base with those individuals, on a regular basis and nurture them and, keep in touch with them. Maybe a job's not great for them now, but hey, maybe in the future, they're going to stand out in your memory and you can go back and take a look at them. Also, too, something else is, what about those people that leave our organizations voluntarily? For whatever reason, people do that, right? But it doesn't mean that they might not be great or we wouldn't love to have them back to work for us. Why not create a pool for that, right? And keep in touch with those people and nurture those individuals. So when we look in actually one of these talent pools or candidate pools, no difference in the terminology that you want to use, we can see these candidates have been placed into this. Once again, you see the consistency of the software, right? So again, the adaptation or the uptake of rolling this out, it's very similar, right? Each screen, so it's consistency. I can click on this little actions. Once again, I can move these candidates. I can add them to a requisition that I'm currently recruiting for. I can add them to another candidate pool. We can add an interaction, send an email, and so forth. So all of these things are different options that you can do. Once again, if you do not have candidate pools, start small, right? Make sure these are meaningful. Make sure the message to your recruitment team is that this is dynamic, right? They're only as good as the information in your system. So these people need to be looked at, why not set up a kind of a trigger once a quarter, we're going to take a look at these people in here and maybe, send out a campaign to these people or just reach out and just ask them, what's going on in their situation. Now, lastly, if you had job offers going on, this is where you're going to see a catch-all of your job offers. And then this recruiting at a glance is kind of like a dashboard for analytics. So if we click on this, it just takes a moment for this to pop up here. But this is kind of a cool, neat functionality that people can see different analytics here. So again, people ask when they see this, do my hiring managers have access to this, or can people see sensitive information or so forth if I don't want them, right? As you know, it's all based upon roles and how those are set up and what people have access to, right? So this can all be decided upon during your implementation. So this is kind of neat. It just gives you a snapshot here, and then I have different tabs to look at different things as well. So that's what that little icon is here for recruiting at a glance. So we'll go back to this job requisitions tab here. Now, if I click on add, it's going to pop up for me to add a requisition, right? So typical process that we're all really used to here. If on the phone, people are recruiters or have been in HR before, or even if you're new to HR and this is the first time you might be seeing this. this is going to look very familiar to you. So the how. So there's different blocks or different sections that need to be completed before we can actually move on in that recruitment process. So we go through one by one and we finish those. And then at the end of this, what we would do is we would actually hit submit, and it would go through the next phase, which is job formatting. So we can job format the job before it goes out to our candidates. So just some high level things that I want to touch upon here is you can use a template. So if you currently have templates today, we can move those into the system for you, so it makes filling out this job requisition really easy. And I always encourage people, why not have your hiring managers part of this process to alleviate some pressure from HR? Because I know HR has lots on their plate, lots of stuff they are doing. Sometimes we don't have just recruiters as part of our organization. So your hiring managers could actually just select a template, and then it would pre-populate for them different things in here to save them time. So what we can do here is we'll just use a template, and we'll do a recruiting type here. And we can choose a location. And my requisition template. And we'll give that a moment. Well, that's a moment. I see here that we do have a question on talent pools. Do you want to ask me that question, Bonnie, while I'm just hitting continue and it's just saving for me to move on?
Sure. Back on the CRM functionality, we had a question come in from the audience. Can you break down the talent pools down by diversity? Is that a possibility?
Like search by people, or you want to set up a talent pool? Just
I think more set up
individual.
More set up a talent pool.
Set up. Yeah. So you can set it up, call it whatever you want, and then just expectation would just be, what are we putting into that talent pool? So you would just have to, tell your recruiting team this is what that talent pool is called, and this is what type of candidates we're looking for to put into there. Mm-hmm. I've seen people do that before. Yep. If you want more in depth on that, or you want something else, like Bonnie and I both mentioned, we'd be happy to talk offline and do a deeper dive into that for you for sure. Okay, thanks. So here with the basic information, again, this is just another block. And the key thing to point out, right, this is where the one platform or all unified platform comes in play. When you have your core HR set up, there's different fields of information on your requisition that's going to pull in from your core setup. So it's key that when you're going through an implementation, you really think about, okay, how are we going to set this up? Because it's going to be working with the various modules, right? And so that's something, if you currently already have HCM core today, and you're using it with, say, talent, or you're using it with another HCM module, no worries, because we actually go through what's called an ORC readiness checklist to make sure that that HCM is set up correctly so that you're getting the most optimal, system when it comes to Recruiting Cloud, and it's easy there to move forward and set up and use all the functionalities and get all the great features of having that one unified system. So really easily, this would just follow, your requisition. Just like maybe with other Oracle platforms, that you've used in the past, there is obviously seeded fields that come with the system, but there is an opportunity to add in your own fields as well. So here you have unlimited, limited, you can change that. The English language here, or if you have different languages, absolutely, the system is compatible with a number of array of different languages out there. So once you're finished filling that out, we would just hit continue. Then we move on to the hiring team. So you have your hiring manager, your recruiter. Some people forget when I do this demo, hey, how come it's already pre-populated? We're actually using a template, and so the template has these individuals into it. So if you had something like that in your organization already, then this could pre-populate, or you could just change it or keep it as is. So that's all available for you today. You also have different collaborators, and you can add another collaborator if that was the case. I can just move on and I can hit continue. In this organization, this is something that rolls in from your HCM, as well as the primary location that's coming from also your core, as well as this is what's going to show to your candidates when they're searching from those locations, your job families and your job functions, etc. So all that individual would do who's setting up this requisition is go through these different blocks here, and then they would hit submit. So what I'm going to do here is just hit cancel, because I'm going to go into one that's already been created just because of our time today that we have, just to go through some other key blocks there that I just wanted to touch base on. So some of the blocks that you might have noticed is that questionnaire block, as well as, which I wanted to touch upon, different configuration, offer and posting. There's also screening service, background check, assessments. Oracle also has a list of validated partners that you can go with to connect your background checking. And those are just found on the Oracle Marketplace if you're taking a look at that. Now, back to your questionnaires. What this is where you can attach your internal questions that you want to ask your candidates, also your external candidates, your pre-screening questions. And this is also where we're going to touch upon and add interview questionnaires too. So this is all done right on your requisition in the one-stop shop here on that. Now, from the configuration standpoint, this is where we're going to say, what is that candidate selection process? What is that application flow that this requisition is going to follow? You might be doing confidential search, so for an executive search. So this, for example, just says, hey, we're not allowing candidates to apply when not posted. However, if that was yes, then that means that you could send a link out to somebody and people could actually apply to it. Also, you have the option to, once I've satisfied those number of openings, I could automatically fill this requisition. Attachments, any attachments that you might want that hiring team to see, you can add here. Your offer information. Also, more information comes when you create the offer for the candidate. And then the posting description. This is where you can see the internal, the external. If there was an external different from the internal, this was just selected that you can use the same description for both internal and external. So those are just some other blocks that I wanted to showcase there that are important. These are just some other information here that you have on your requisition. Now, just like before, right, consistency, look and feel. You have the overview, which gave you the high level, which then shows you where your candidates are that have applied, what are new, unconfirmed applications. This here, I'm curious, Bonnie, I'm going to throw this out to anybody who might know what that might mean. And I'm going to leave this till after we go show what that candidate is. So if someone answers that, let me know. Also, your your job formatting. Yep. Do you have a question?
Yeah, we have a few coming in.
Do you want to leave? Do you want to leave it because we just have time and we can follow up with them directly?
Well, I think a lot of people will have this question. What is the link between onboarding checklist and core HR and recruiting? That's one of them. What is the link between the two? Yes. Yes. How are they linked?
So, yeah. So when you have a candidate that has applied, gone through that recruitment process, and you're ready to extend an offer to them, they accept the offer, then you would turn them to pending worker. So pending worker then makes them an employee and they have an employee record in your system, but in the status of pending worker. You can create checklists that are actually going to get kicked out to that new hire to do, which is classified as pre-boarding. They can do all those things called pre-boarding. Once they finish those, then they can also do your true onboarding. So all of those can be set up currently today. I have some individuals that utilize the checklist right now today as they're going even through the transition of implementing the ORC platform. So that's kind of the correlation. If I didn't answer it or you wanted more details, by all means, just let Bonnie know and we can reach back out to you.
And another question that maybe the audience has as a group, can I create a requisition using more than one language depending on the user? So let's say I wanted to create a requisition for here in the US and another one over in the UK. Or
so
maybe not the UK, let's say France. Yeah, France and
it's different languages. Yeah, in the requisition, there's just a place that says translation, and then you can translate that over, and you're going to have something to in your career center for a language, and then they'd be able to see it in that language. So it just needs to be translated.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, no worries. So on your requisition here, before we go see that candidate experience, you have your job formatting. So this is your employer description. So that is who you are as an employer. Again, you see here internal and external. You can have two different ones. You can have the same. This here is about the department. So if you have a little blurb about the department that you want to share to the candidate, what it's like being in this department, working for this department, this is what this is all about. Again, same, you can have internal, external, or they can both equal the same. Then this is where you can have your media come in as well. So you can have videos out there on your career center. You might have a little video in the day in the life of this job that you have an employee that really wants to showcase and do those different types of videos. That's one thing too. I know in my where I used to work, I used to try to get other individuals to do the videos. It doesn't have to be always HR, right? Employees love to do this kind of stuff. So engage them to help you out with this different stuff. This is where here the posting, we'll just touch on that briefly. You have an option too to post it at a certain time, unpost it at a certain time. So if some of you have collective agreements or some of you have a policy, it needs to be posted internally for, let's say, 5 days before it goes externally. You can set it and forget it and it will take it down, just as an FYI here. And there's also a portal for agencies. So if you do work with recruiting agencies and you'd like to have their own portal so that they can submit candidates to you, that's something else that can be set up. Also, job board aggregators, that's kind of the terminology. What that means is you can set up a job board aggregator, which then pushes it out to all the various job boards. A lot of individuals use this from a compliance standpoint, so it's going to push it all out to different websites from a compliance. You can set up different interview schedules here. You can also set up an interview schedule so that candidates can actually select from the time that you are making available. So you're putting it in the candidate's hand to say, yeah, I'll come in for an interview at this point in time. That is able to be set up. Feedback is just based upon that interview feedback or those questionnaires. And then the progress here just gives you the progress of this requisition, right? The phases that it's been sitting in and how long it's been in that. So what I'm going to do now is just move another monitor over here. Hopefully this will take, and I'll show you the candidate experience. Is that showing the candidate experience right now, Bonnie, or no?
It is.
Still the other screen? It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, moved perfectly. Okay, great. So this here is just from a candidate's perspective. Like I mentioned earlier, fully brandable, right? And you and HR can do this yourself as well, which is really great. So we can have different links up here. You can have different images, different colors in here. If we scroll down, you can have different blocks, different areas. Here's a multimedia video in here. If we scroll down a little bit further, you can have different pop-outs here. When I click on it, it takes me somewhere else. Also, different links here. So if you've got an EEO kind of statement that you'd like to have out there, then we could put that into a link here. All different things, kind of sky's the limit from a creativity standpoint. And Oracle gives different templates for you to use, right? So that also gives you somewhere to start from. And us just being in the industry, we have lots of different ideas or to help guide you on, hey, what is going to give you some really like bang and pow for your candidates when they come there to really wow them when they go to that career center. So if we scroll up here, we're just going to click on View All Jobs. And this is going to look, very similar, like that faceted job search, or if you are on Amazon, because I can click on this link, I can click on these kind of locations, and it's going to automatically display the jobs that are in those different locations. I have different sorted by up here. We have different job functions, category, posting dates, and so forth. So here's where an image would be, or if you had a multimedia section here, this is where it would showcase. I can literally just click on this title here. I can actually also favorite this job. If I click on this title, I can have a multimedia display here, my job description, about the team, about us. I can hit the apply now here. I can hit the apply now up here. I also can take a look and put this on my social media, my Twitter, my LinkedIn, and so forth. So if I click apply now, this is something that I mentioned earlier. There's no need for you to do a password. Something else too that is in the functionality of the software is that in the 19D release, your candidates don't have to confirm either once they've submitted their application. So currently today, if I apply, and I hit submit, I'm going to get an email saying, please confirm that this was you that submitted that application form to that job. We can actually turn on that feature, or that feature can be turned off. Any questions while I do this, Bonnie, that came in, or no?
There were some questions about what will the person type be, applicant or pending worker, and is there any flexibility in choosing person type?
Well, when you
I think that
yeah, go ahead.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so what happens is when you move them or they accept an offer, then typically they go to that pending worker, and then once you move them, the next logical step would be employee. So I might need a little bit more information on where that's going, Bonnie, just to make sure we answer it correctly and just advise them.
Sure
just
thing.
some more clarity on that.
Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Yep. So this here shows the application form. If we go over on this side, there is little buttons here for personal information, job application questions, experience, and more about you. So once again, as I'm sure you assumed, and I mentioned it earlier, this is fully mobily optimized or responsive as well. So this is going to shrink down to whatever platform that you're on. It could be an iPad, it could be on a Android, it could be on a Apple phone. It's all going to look the same depending on what device you're on. Now, you see here, you can import your resume and it would parse in the information, as well as there is a connection between LinkedIn and Indeed. So if I did that, things would parse in. Now, if I don't want to do that, then I can just put my last name in here and fill this all out manually. I just retype my email address in here. And I can choose my country. I can type for United States and it's going to pop up here and I can just select it. When I do that, see what happened there? It also now appears the different fields that I need to fill in. The little red asterisk means that it's required. So I can just scroll this down. I can start typing and it will pop up that state, or I can just choose this. I can choose a city and I can also choose a zip code.
Sarah, we have a question on the resume parsing. It says, how clean is the parsing? What does it truly map clean, or does the applicant have to, tidy it up a little bit, do some editing?
Yeah, so out there, what happens is there's a partnership with telemetry for resume parsing. It comes in pretty accurately. It all really depends too on what fields that you have on your application form versus what fields in your application. I know even myself, if I was ever applying to a job and I use that functionality, it's always best case that the candidate goes through and takes a look at it, right? Because what happens if you miss a spelling mistake on your resume, you parse it in and you don't take a look at it. So, out there, and Bonnie, you can attest, I couldn't give a percentage on what that is, but it comes in fairly clean from what I have seen in the past.
I think the parsing has just always been challenging because candidates nowadays get so creative in what they're submitting for applications, right? I've seen resumes that come across as a PowerPoint or in a different language.
Yeah.
And it's been a little bit more challenging in that way. Now we have another one. Will there be more parsing options beyond LinkedIn and Indeed available in the future? That's a roadmap item that we can never guarantee anything, to be honest. But that being said, this product gets a lot of love out at Oracle. So it gets a lot of investment. So it wouldn't surprise me if it came at some point in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And also, too, Oracle has a wealth of information out on Customer Connect if you're not connected on different things. There was a presentation done about in October, and it went through the 19D release as well as gave a sneak peek in what was coming in 20A. So that's something, if you're having difficulty finding that link, we'd be happy to share that. You can take a look at that too. So I just wanted to point out here that it is fully compliant from an EEO standpoint. So you can decide if you need to turn this on, then you can turn it on. If you so chose not to, then this would just be hidden. But it is fully compliant. If things change, then Oracle does update this. So here's the job application questions in here. Again, you can make them required here with this little asterisk. This is something that's really cool. So I can add an experience or, my work history in here. And these are just some sample of some fields here. You can have more fields if you would like. You could have less fields. It shows in this kind of visual area, right? Which is so cool. Also too with your education. Same idea. You can type in, you can have different fields in here. Now, one thing is cool, right? With your talent profile that you have set up today, that is going to be, a requirement that you want to have set up in the version 2. This information, when you hire that individual into your employee, this will roll over into their talent profile. So very cool. So it just shows in a different way. It looks amazing on the screen. It looks amazing on your mobile device as well. We scroll down, here's a different language block. There's licenses and certificates that you can have. There's different work preferences that you can add in here. You can add your resume if you didn't upload it for the parsing option, add a cover letter. You can add even links in here. So some people nowadays for different positions might have a portfolio, might have a website that they want to showcase. You can add that link and you can add another. I also can agree to receive like marketing communication. So if I've added myself to a talent pool, I also, if you have a privacy statement that you want someone to read, we can add those different blocks here. So really easy, all I would do is just hit submit. And it would just pop up a little box here. And then depending if you have that functionality, depending on what release that you're on, I might have to validate it, or I might have turned that off because I'm on release 19D and I don't have to turn that on. So this here shows the screen that gives this candidate kind of their profile here. I can edit my personal information. I can change my location or my preferred categories where I want to receive, job alerts, and I can add more than one. I can do that for my locations as well. I can also, if I wanted to, have the option to delete that profile. So that's just a little bit from the candidate experience. So if we go back to our requisition here to take a look at those candidates, we'll just hit the senior HR analyst. Now, unconfirmed applications. What might that mean? Did anybody answer you, Bonnie? Or answer me? I'm just curious. What this means is that if
I did not, sorry.
No, okay.
No,
no worries. So what that means is that I, as a candidate, haven't confirmed my application that I submitted via email. So if a candidates haven't done that and you see numbers here, that's what that means, just as an FYI. If I go to my active candidates here that have applied or my active applicants, then I can see a list of them. I can actually see their resume here. I can see if they're an internal candidate. I can see if they're an external because they wouldn't have that little icon. If I scroll down here, I see this little icon. I can see that they're active on a requisition as well. Their pre-screening questions, if we had scores to those questions, I can see the different phase and status that they're in from the recruitment process. So all that's right available right from your home screen here. Once again, right, consistency. I can do mass kind of actions, right? Drop that little action column down. I can do all those different things. So if we want to drill deeper into that candidate's profile, we can just click on this candidate's name, and it's going to drill down into that true candidate profile. Once again, consistency, right? We still have that toolbar or those different areas here that I can take a look at when I'm working with a candidate. Also, different blocks of information over here, right? I can expand or I can collapse them. I can do actions from here, so I can add them to another candidate pool, add an interaction, collect feedback, create a job offer. All of that stuff's right available. Now, if I click move here, this is where I'm able to as well change the phase that they're in or keep them in that phase and change the state that they're in. I can just hit save and close. And that's as easy as it is to move the candidates through the different workflows. Now, there is obviously different workflows that you can set up, but obviously we want to make sure that you're looking at your current practice and seeing how can we streamline that to make it easier, and also from a reporting standpoint, what's going to make the most sense. Now, I'm on this candidate here. How do I get to my next candidate, right? I don't want to have to go back to that list. Well, you don't have to. You can just click next and then move through your candidate database on that requisition there. and we can take a look, we can move them and so forth. So with the couple minutes left here, I just wanted to very quickly just log out as this individual and just take a look at what that checklist looks like from that new hire standpoint. So we'll just confirm that.
So we have one other question. Can we have different candidate selection workflows per requisition?
Give me an example on why you wanted to do that. Different one for internal versus different one for external? Or is there?
I mean, yeah, use that as an example.
Okay. Typically, it's a one-to-one candidate selection, but I can look into that further. I don't see too many people doing different types of applicant workflows. It's basically making that workflow, user-friendly, that you can move them into the different phases and states. So I can talk offline just what their example is for that, because I don't really typically see that being done. So if it's a business case, then I can meet back up with that individual a little bit later, and then I can show them some more information.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yep. So this individual's, we're going to pretend that they're a new employee. So like I mentioned, you can have pre-boarding, you can have first day activities, and then you can have activities for the first month, let's say. So really easy here. It's in blocks, it shows when it's due, etc. Now, I really like to showcase this in a demo just because I see this as being very powerful, and to also let people understand if you have the different modules, this is how they work together. So I can have notes to that new hire. I can have links to different things for that new hire. Now, if I say go to that task, I can actually go to the benefits section here, right? So this is something that some of you might have currently today. So this employee here doesn't leave the site, doesn't leave the software. They just go over to the benefits module so they can make their changes, make their different benefits, pending actions, etc. So now moving forward, open enrollment happens. They're already used to that screen because you've let them go through that process during the onboarding. All one system, right? You want to keep that in mind to leverage those different things when you're using those checklists. We can go back to the onboarding. You can have different forms. You can have them e-sign different things. How should we pay you? All different things that you can have. Tasks, just going to other individuals that need to do something for your employees as well. Once they get completed, you'll see them down completed in the completed box. But this is something else that you can do, right? You can have fun stuff in here. So different activities that you have to showcase to the new hire for your culture. You can have a note board to them, what's happening in here. All of those different things are available. And lastly, what I think is important just to show individuals is that internal process here. So you can name this different names. This is the job openings. So I can just click on job openings here, and I can see my favorite jobs that I've taken a look at, my job applications. I can do employee referrals. I can also see job offers, right? So we can go and search by title, search by organization, other keywords. I can just search by location in here as well. And we'll just choose here. We'll see, it pops up and hit search. I'm gonna wait for that. There we go. And so once again, same different searching capability here. I can say that this is my favorite job. I can take a look at this job here, click on it. I can see the job description here. I can see any kind of videos that might be on here. Something else that is really cool is I can see the contacts internally. So if I want to reach out to this recruiter, ask them questions, I want to phone this hiring manager or email this hiring manager to learn a little bit more. And again, I'm an internal applicant, so I'm able to do this because I'm an internal already in the system. And then all I would need to do is I could just hit apply. And something else, because one system, right? It's going to ask you job application questions, but here's that tie to that talent profile, right? Because I was an external, you hired me, I've rolled my different qualifications over. Now all I have to do is just quickly review them, fill out this job application questionnaire. If I want to add any supporting documents and e-sign it, and then I'm done. So this again is the power of that one system, the system that's all connected together. And that's what I wanted just to finish up with. Once again, If you guys wanted some more deeper dive into the software or learn more, or hey, how can this work in our organization? Bonnie mentioned it, just like I'm going to mention it again. We'd love to sit down with you and talk you through your various processes.
Thank you, Sarah. I want to thank everyone for joining us today and sticking with us. I know quite a few of you stayed on the line with us, even though we were at the top of the hour. Again, as Sarah mentioned, we're happy to take questions and show you how this can work for your organization and the best path forward. We look forward to seeing you again on a future webcast. And thank you, Sarah, for doing the demonstration today. We appreciate it.
Sure, my pleasure.
Thank you all. Have a great afternoon.